Okay, good evening, comrades, sisters, and brothers. My name is Elizabeth, and I will be your chair for this evening. Welcome to the annual Socialist Action 9th International Educational Conference. This is session 2, I think of 9 sessions. SA is a revolutionary socialist political organization. We are active in Canada and Quebec. We are in solidarity with the Fourth International, the revolutionary organization active in over 50 countries around the world. We are happy to be associated with the Youth for Socialist Action, a new youth group in solidarity with SA. Both YSA and SA are actively involved in the labor movement, the NDP, the anti-war movement, students, and feminist movements. We participate in international solidarity, anti-poverty, gay rights, environmental, and other social movements. Today we see the rise of rebellions against austerity, dictatorship, and war all across North Africa to the Persian Gulf. From Cairo to Wisconsin, workers, farmers, women, seniors, and youth are saying enough is enough. The system has got to go. This conference is dedicated to the great Arab awakening, to the fight for indigenous rights, to the locked out steelworkers of Hamilton fighting to defend pensions and jobs, to the postal workers who just voted 95% for a strike mandate against concessions, and to the workers of Wisconsin and Ohio defending their unions. This conference is dedicated to the 4 million voters in Quebec and across English Canada who turned left on May the 2nd and made the NDP the official opposition. Currently, Socialist Action in Canada is celebrating its 17th anniversary. I hope you enjoy this session and the entire conference. Please take the opportunity to visit our display table, buy some great literature, subscribe to our monthly newspaper, Socialist Action, the best publication of its kind in North America. Our topic this evening is Civil Liberties Under Attack, Fight Back. And our speakers, our first speaker will be Jaime Gonzalez, is the Organization Secretary of the Socialist Unity League, LUS, our sister party in Mexico. He is the LUS representative to the Fourth International. Our second speaker will be Barbara Jackman. She's a renowned Canadian lawyer who led successful fights to lift the border entry ban on former British MP George Galloway and to free tortured Muslim Canadians, including Maher Arar. She has intervened in a number of Charter of Rights cases before the Supreme Court of Canada, as well as other landmark cases concerning immigration and refugee matters, and on the issue of security certificates used by liberal and conservative governments to detain political refugees. And our third speaker tonight is Comrade Jeff Mackler. He is the national coordinator of the Free Mumia Abu-Jamal campaign, head of the Free Lynne Stewart campaign, and a leading opponent of the FBI raids against anti-war activists. Jeff is the National Secretary of Socialist Action USA and is its fraternal representative to the Fourth International. So without further ado, please let's give a warm welcome to our comrade in Mexico.
Okay, shall I begin? Is that okay?
Yes, comrade. Go ahead.
Okay. Very good, very good. So, well, we are living a systematic and deep attack on human rights in Mexico after many years of progressive fights in defense of human rights and advances in the defense of people to give their opinion and to have and to be able to speak out or publish and whatever have you, general political, civil rights, and also advances in human rights. We are living today a nightmare. This nightmare is called the war against crime. Possibly some of you have read about it, or possibly your newspapers in the countries or in the cities where you live have reported part of this bloody or very bloody so-called fight against crime that is being carried out by the Mexican government. This war against crime was concocted in Washington, inspired on what U.S. policymakers considered their success in Colombia. I'm not going to touch the case of Colombia, and it would need a whole analysis. But I will give you the picture from Mexico and what is going on here. Mexican rulers willingly jumped into the wagon of this policy, and now they just don't know what they are going to do next. They're ensnared in a war they can't win, and they are ensnared in a situation which has, from their point of view, no obvious solutions. This war against crime, of course, it's not something that just came out of the blue or is simply conspiracy. The ruling class in Mexico is very much worried about the power that was growing by criminal organizations, and of course the sort of armament and their ability to carry out coordinated actions throughout the territory. But the problem, the real problem in depth here, is that drug trafficking is big business. I mean, it's not just a question of a small mafia or an obscure organization here and there carrying out some form of illegal trafficking of substances. This is big business. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars every year, which is the proceeds of this trafficking through the Mexican border into the United States. Not to say that there's also a very important part of this business going on inside the Mexican territory. That is, hard drugs are being more and more consumed by parts of the Mexican populations, depending on what social stratus they belong is what sort of drug they consume, which is also, I suppose, what goes on into the United States. You shouldn't be surprised by the information revealed by the British newspaper The Guardian a couple of months ago, when they told in detail the story of a whistleblower from the Wachovia bank, one of these banks that failed in the United States. Wachovia was washing money, was laundering money for these cartels, and we know of this because this whistleblower in London, this person was in charge of data security in London. We know because he told the story. But many other U.S. banks are carrying out this sort of laundering, and of course the world doesn't know. The world is not aware of the fact that these drug traffickers are actually, I wouldn't call them employees, because they're not like direct employees of Wachovia. But it's obvious that banks are doing big business with this drug trafficking. It is extremely important to announce and to say that if banks cut this laundering, this money laundering, they would put these people and these drug traffickers out of business. Obviously, they are not doing it because banks are getting a big cut out of this bloody situation that we are living in Mexico. As I tell you, I mean, we know the case of Wachovia because there was this whistleblower, but it's obvious that the other banks are doing it. How else are these big, huge amounts of money moving beyond borders if it's not with the complicity and obviously with the profits, the enormous profits that this is producing for U.S. and other banks. after the whistleblower announced this story, the U.S. Treasury and U.S. authorities gave them what we would call a slap in the wrist. I mean, it was like they fined Wachovia some symbolic amount of money, which obviously did not give a clear signal to the rest of the banks. But first, this is what I want to establish in this story. Drug trafficking is very big business. It's not just some marginal stuff being done by some obscure characters in the poorer sides of the city. Now, this is a very big business. Mexican newspaper woman, a very brave and very courageous person, put out a book which is called Los Señores del Narco, the Lords of the Narco, and where she puts out all sorts of details on just how these people are connected, just how these people are connected to the big politicians and to big business. Lots of tons of illegal substances are moved very, how can I say, in the open through Mexico City's airport with a complete complicity of the authorities. So this war on drugs is something completely artificial, and the consequences it is having for the population are absolutely intolerable. And it is having, as you know, there are tens of thousands of people which have died in this so-called war against crime. The war against crime, of course, shows that, as I said, part of the ruling class is worried, definitely worried about the power some of these cartels have, and they favor some against the others. So what has been happening since the army got involved into this, they got the army involved. This was a huge mistake because they exposed the troops to corruption by these gangsters. A huge mistake, as I was telling, since they got the army involved in this, they thought they would just blow them out of the water at the first shots. This has not happened. The situation is that unemployment in Mexico is very, very high. The regular young person has little chances of getting a job, and of course there is a social base for these mafias, both in the countryside and in the cities. There are thousands of young people who don't have any employment opportunities and who live in slums and who have clear future for themselves, who would be willing soldiers of these mafias. So what the government wanted to do when they got the army involved was to control them. Of course, they want drug trafficking to go on. Of course, they want this big business to go on, but they want to control them. What has happened, however, is that this war has gotten completely out of control. No weapons are enough, not enough troops are enough to put the situation under control, and the different cartels do have a social base on which they continually recruit, even though many people are killed. The most obnoxious and monstrous part of all this is that thousands and thousands of innocent civilians or people who don't have anything to do with drug trafficking are being victims of this war. There are two main causes for this. The first cause of this is that the cartels that have gotten out of control have turned to kidnapping and turned to all sorts of illegal activities. Some of them are some of which would really completely surprise you.